In this tutorial, we're going to set up timestamp extraction for a video that was recorded with a KIWI timestamp inserter. We'll begin by opening the AVI file. This is the sample that I want to use. As usual, our first step is to turn that into a folder, create a folder, and place a link to that AVI in the folder. I'll accept the default location for that folder. I'll set our contrast so we can better see the star field. As usual, closing the contrast control so that that setting applies to all subsequent frames. Let's just take a quick look at the fields. Okay. Let's keep it in field mode. So the next step is to select the VTI. And as I look at this list, I see that there are two entries for KIWI. There's a left and there's a right. Let me just click on the left and zoom in, and we'll see that the character selection boxes don't line up well at all. In fact, they're shifted off to the left. The KIWI time inserter has this little trick that it does, that every time the minute rolls over, it shifts all of the display characters either left or right, depending on where it started. That's the biggest thing that we have to deal with differently when you're using the KIWI time inserter. So it's clear that this is not a good starting point. So I will then try the right-hand side. And that looks much better. So that's going to be our starting point. I'm going to make a small diversion here. I just want to point out that frequently these characters appear in groups. And when you're doing your adjustment, if you have to adjust very far, it is often more useful to enable for jogging a group. So I can enable jogging on that whole group. So now I can do a rough adjustment of 3 boxes at once. It is also the case frequently that a whole line will need to be adjusted. So there is a way of enabling the jogging for the upper boxes. And now we're jogging the whole line. Finally, there is a relationship between the characters in the upper field to the lower field. They're linked in a way. And so sometimes it's useful to enable jogging on the twins, if you will. So when I fix one, I'm fixing the other as well. For this demonstration, I'm just going to stick with the tried and true of enabling jogging on a box-by-box basis and putting them in place. So I will do a couple. So we'll look at the properties. So that could use a jog to the left. Let's check our properties. That's a better setting. And so I will disable the jogging. I will note that I'm going to move this box over. There's nothing in it to see, but I know that if I had to move this box, the other one should have come with it as well. And let's look at this one. I'm going to move that one as well. So that's good. Disable jogging. See, that one needs to come over this way. That's good. At this point, I'm going to pause the video while I continue to align the boxes in this field. There's no need for you to watch me go step by step through each of the boxes. Okay, I'm back from having repositioned all of the character selection boxes for this field and frame. I at most had to go 1 or 2 clicks, either left or right, to get the boxes lined up. Before I go any further, I just want to point out that although the KIWI timestamp characters are at a slant, that's not true down here. In order to improve the character recognition rate, I've had to straighten up the characters to make them more erect. And in addition, note that when you zoom in, you'll see that every other line is empty, that there's no information about the font. So what I've done is in composing the character, I only use those lines that contain pixels from the character. Now, there's one hazard of that. If I were to take this box, enable jogging, and move it up just 1, and then look to see what it sees in there, it sees nothing, because now this trick ends up showing us only the lines that had nothing in them. So let me put that back. Let's make sure that we are back. We are. Disable jogging. So the next step is to select our model digits. So let's see if this is a good 8. That's a reasonable 8. So I'll record an 8. I'll record a 2. That's a good looking 5. So I'll record a 5. That 6 is fine. So what do I need? I need lots. Let's go another frame. We need a 9. This looks like a 9. That's decent. So we'll record a 9. We need a 0. Going to fix that box a little bit. We're going to enable it, and we're going to move it in that direction. That's a better position. And now we're going to record that as a 0. We need a 1, we need a 3, 4. Here's a 3, good 3. We need a 1, we need a 4, and a 7. That's a good looking 7. Here's a 1. And now we need to find our 4. And that's a good looking 4. I'm going to record it. I'm going to look at the model digits. They all look reasonable, so I'm going to accept that. At this point, with other time inserters, we would be done. But remember that there's another position for these boxes. Now that we have character recognition working, let's just check that. Let's move a frame and we see that we're doing our timestamp extraction, getting good scores. What we need to do is move to the point where the minutes changes. Let me just move 1 second at a time. And suddenly we saw everything shift left. This is a different set of boxes. And you now need to go through this set and position each of these so that they properly surround the character. Once again, I'm going to do this process, but I'm not going to burden you with. Okay, I'm back, having repositioned all of the character boxes from the second place that the KIWI likes to put characters, depending on whether the minute is odd or even. Let's just find out how we've done. So I'm going to pick a target, and we're going to do an analysis. Let's go all the way back to frame 0, and let's choose this as a target. We'll call it target. And I see where the noise is about 2. Let's increase the threshold a little bit. And I note there's a potential competitor in our field of view. And I'm a little concerned that it may occasionally, if this gets a little dim, it may want to snap to this object instead of this one. So one way to deal with that is to provide a tracker. So I'm going to use this star as a tracker. And we'll set its threshold about the same. And I turn it yellow. So this aperture, I don't expect to do anything other than follow that star, and that will keep this one from accidentally jumping to the competitor. So let's run our analysis. Let's see how we're doing. Everything looks okay. What I'm really interested in is how the timestamp extraction occurred. There actually is no occultation in this field, in this AVI, sorry. But I'd like to know how well we were able to do optical character recognition on the KIWI font, which, as you can see, can be challenging. Almost there. Do one more check. Looking good. So when it stops, I'm ready to write CSV, which I'll simply call test 1. It's starting up PyOte. And we see that we've had pretty good character recognition, but there's some kind of problem right here. We should go look and see what that is. So the beginning of that problem happened at frame 28. So I'm going to get PyOte out of the way. I'm going to go to frame 28. We're going to look in field mode to see what happened. Let me just go to the next frame. It didn't change. If you look at the sequence number here, you'll see that we had a duplicated frame. So in fact, the character recognition was fine, but we had a duplicated frame. Let's move to a couple of frames on either side. There's the duplication, and there it's working again. So, in spite of the difficulties of the KIWI font, we had 100% OCR recognition rate, and we found a duplicated frame. And that concludes this video.